Fight promoter. When Scott and I were about 4, maybe, we would have the Saturday night fights on their front yard. On a blanket was our ring, and Becky was his cut man, and my sister Leslie was my cut man. I didn't see any of the videos up in there of the pictures, but they were taken. I think we entertained the neighborhood for at least one summer. And then I think the next time I remember Jack, and he did have a very good sense of humor, because I learned to water ski at Mona Lake with Jack driving the boat. And it just seemed like he always drove the boat worse when I got there, because I always fell down. All the other kids could stay up, but I had a little trouble staying up there. I will remember Jack as a very generous man. He gave us rides many a day. I was with Scott at the YMCA many of those days with his dad playing handball. Many rides to various things, and scholarships to camp. Excuse me. I'm the strong one in the family too. That's tough. Just very dear friend. Wasn't just your family. It was me also. Gonna miss him. He was a great man. We're family.
My beautiful brother. But to begin with, I don't recognize the names of Becky and, to a lesser extent, Janelle. We call them angels. These two ladies really, and of course the sons that are down here, but took care of that dear guy. I'm trying to sort out thoughts of something that I can tell you about him, but I think that one of the major things that, besides his sense of humor, and I may get to that, major influence that my brother made on myself, and I think an awful lot of others, and that doesn't only include my brother, that includes his wife Eloise. They were absolutely consistent in their faith. Most of us, some of us, me, can quote Bible verses and sermons that we have heard, great speakers, but do we really live it on a day-to-day basis? Eloise and Jack lived their faith. I can think of instance after instance, but I tell you one small story to emphasize and illustrate it. It might be that my brother, of course, being an architect, designed a church. This was Plymouth Brethren. And that was a church that kind of patterned the New Testament church. Anyway, it was built on the edge of River Forest, Maywood. It was called the Woodside Bible Chapel. And my brother and Eloise, but let's concentrate on my brother, kind of guided the church. They might not have been speaking, but they were in prayer meetings, they were in Bible studies and everything. And whenever maintenance had to be done, things done at the church, expenses, my brother and Eloise were there. In fact, I don't know how I came across the story, but the church, if you looked at the personality of the church, it was very middle class and not blessed with lots of funds. And my brother did well as an architect, but you would never know it. He bought and drove a car, quite modest car, every year. And he could have bounced up into Bugatti's and Lambrusis and everything else. No, he bought the same type of stripped down, white, plain car because he just did not want to stand out. That's, and many things like that. To get into the area of humor, Oh, and I want to say this. As some of us are getting closer and closer to a call from the boneyard. And so some of us cry more than we used to. But when he passed away, the angel called me and said, "Your brother's gone an hour ago." And one of the other angels, one of the sons, beautiful people, said, "Don't worry, Uncle Hayes. Right now, your brother and my dad is in a rowboat with Jesus fishing." Beautiful. But I can go on and I won't do that, but he had a beautiful sense of humor. Now, bear with me, we were out in the boat. We fished in Canada every summer. And one time we drew an Eskimo guide by the name of George. And my brother engaged always with people like that and talked, actually trying to approach him on the basis of his faith. But he asked George, "George, did you grow up around here?" George says, "I guide white man." "George, what do you do all summer?" "I guide white man." "What do you do in the winter?" "I guide white man." He said, "What does your father do?" "He hunts white men."